hammering its beak.
Were you going to make a pecking noise there? Were you about to make a pecking noise?
Yeah, it turns out... See,
that's pretty good.
No, it's not. And that's why I didn't do it, because I'm like, I don't think any of this is going to sound Welcome to the Rom-Com Rewind podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Devin.
And like you, I love rewatching movies over and over again.
You found us. You love romantic comedies, which is great news because we do as well.
So this is a show where we rewatch rom-coms, break them down a bit for you, maybe take a peek behind the curtain, dig beneath the surface, and decide, does it still hold up?
Today we have Hitman. And if you want to reach out about anything on the podcast, maybe you want to steer the ship a little bit. We've actually got something on our Instagram right now regarding, or earlier this week, regarding your favorite fall movie watches. We kind of use our Instagram account to, continue conversations on the pod and as well get some input from you in terms of what you liked, what you didn't like, what we should be doing more of, etc. At Romcom Rewind is our Instagram account. Hitman is a 2023 romantic comedy, although really I feel like it came out in 2024.
I originally put 2024, and then I went back and I was like, it came out in 2023? Like when? I know. It does. I do have something about its release. It is kind of an interesting one. It's directed by Richard Linklater, who's kind of it's kind of like a subculture genius. He co-wrote the screenplay with Glenn Powell. Richard directed Dazed and Confused, classic. The movie that gave us Matthew McConaughey. Yes.
That was his first role. All right.
Dazed and Confused.
He also did the romance trilogy Before Sunset, Before Midnight, Before Sunrise, which is really cool. Hitman, though, is the story of Gary Johnson, played by Glenn Powell, a mild-mannered professor of psychology and philosophy at the University of New Orleans. Gary also works for the NOPD as a civilian, kind of administering the audio tech for undercover sting operations. Now, when the undercover detective, Jasper, is pulled off duty right before, stuff's meant to go down, Gary is forced into what ends up being a series of kind of gambits where he needs to pretend to be a hitman in order to incriminate suspects in murder-for-hire schemes. The wild thing is, this is based off a real person and a real story, kind of loosely based. Along the way, though, he meets Madison, played by Adria Arjona, and his role as a fake hitman kind of takes a turn as Gary maybe develops some feelings for Madison. That's your lead-in for Hitman. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't buy it.
What?
You're not a hitman. You can't be. I tried looking you up, but nothing. It's like you don't even exist.
I guess I'm just your fantasy.
So what's the biggest difference between the real you and your occupation?
By the way, my name is Gary Johnson, and I'm a fake hitman.
Okay, so I watched the trailer for this movie, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what it is about. Like, the way that they prefaced it, the way that they explained it, like I sat there kind of
you don't know if he's actually killing people.
Right.
Like, is he the hitman, or like what's
I was very confused. I sat there and I was like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. This looks really cheesy. I don't think I'm gonna like it. Okay, no, it's so good. This is what I've been waiting for. I still think Fall Guy is the best rom-com yet this year, but I mean, considering that we now know that it's from 2023, maybe this movie Hitman was the best of 2023. I don't know. Glenn Powell, I mean, like, swoon. He is a less attractive Ryan Gosling.
Wow, less attractive. Okay.
Ryan Gosling will always have my heart.
Was that meant to be a compliment to Glenn Powell?
It is.
I don't know if it came off that way.
And Adria, like, she was great in this. I thought the jokes were really funny. I thought the way that they played it, like the plot and everything, they explained it a lot better in the actual movie. I really liked this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And it was nice to watch a new rom-com come out where I was like, hey, yes, I'm liking the action rom-coms right now, I think.
Action rom-coms are taking a little bit of a turn. I think is this like a thriller rom-com? Like there wasn't a ton of action, maybe a suspense rom-com almost. I
wasn't scared.
Yeah, you were never scared, I guess. I agree. This was a fantastic film. I think this film, it only happens like on rare occasions where you kind of catch the big, huge, massive A-list superstar in like that one movie where it's like, this is just Julia Roberts and it's just Richard Gere and it's just them on the movie posters and it's just like, this is A Star Is Born kind of thing. This is, made in Manhattan. The whole movie's J-Lo.
Right.
And because she's such a big deal, you're going to freaking love it. That's how I feel about this movie. Like it's 90% just Glenn Powell.
Yeah, it is.
Showing such a depth of range of acting.
Yeah.
And you just can't look away. You're just like, yeah, wow.
He
like,
did a phenomenal job.
He's that guy. Oh my gosh. Like this is huge. And we've seen a lot of very good rom-coms lately, but I don't think we've seen one that's kind of like in the launch of a career where we've even seen him a few years ago in that Netflix one.
Step Up. Nope. Not Step Up.
Step Up.
Set Up.
Like he's dancing with Channing Tatum. Like Step Up. Glenn Powell's in Step Up. I missed that.
The Set Up. Sorry. Glenn Powell, is that you?
Oh,
no,
God.
you can't. No, that's Channing.
Glenn Powell was in like Spy Kids 2 or something like that. Have you seen that? Oh my God. You haven't seen that?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, a great deep dive, ladies and gentlemen. We're already off the rails. Glenn Powell, Spy Kids. I'm going to pull this up for Sarah.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me how old Glenn is.
Okay, first I'm going to get Spy Kids up for you.
Oh my God. When I think of Spy Kids, I think of the thumbs.
Spy Kids 3.
Spy Kids 3.
When it's when it went 3D.
Oh, wow.
Take a look. There he is right there.
Oh my goodness. He is. Yes.
That's Glenn Powell in Spy Kids 3.
Wow. Look, and you know what? He went further than the main two.
Yeah, you're right. He did. Oh
Good
my
for
gosh.
Glenn.
But all that to say, and you want to know how old Glenn Powell is. I'll look that up really quick. I do feel this is just a unique movie in that like we've seen a star. He was always a great actor, but like he's now like he's a star.
Well, yeah, and he had Twisters come out this year too, which was I haven't seen it yet. I loved Twister, the movie, when I was younger. I'm very excited to see Twisters. I heard it was really, really well done.
He also had Anyone But You come out.
Yes,
at the
oh my
end
God,
of
yes,
last
we
year.
have to do that.
But like I think Set It Up is a great example of like he did star in a rom-com. He just wasn't that guy yet. He wasn't that guy who could control the screen where it's like I can't not watch and listen to like with bated breath, like oh my gosh, what's Glenn Powell doing here? Like he was so fascinating in this movie.
He was. How old is he?
Oh, 35. Sorry. 35. His birthday, October 21st. He's coming up.
Oh, he's close to my
Only
birthday.
9 days away from your birthday. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoop, whoop.
Is he a Scorpio then? What is he?
What day is his birthday?
October 21st.
Yes.
Oh,
It's like literally the day, I believe.
Scorpio season.
I believe, yeah.
Watch out.
I believe. It's the 2022 20 day. Like it's always somewhat different, but yes, 20. I believe it's 21.
If you can't tell, I'm being so sarcastic. I think astrology is ridiculous. Sarah loves it, and
I don't love it.
She loves that she's a Scorpio. She's like,
oh my God. Okay, Leo.
Let's dive in, shall
Evan's
we?
a Leo
Let's
through and through.
let's
All right,
dive
let's
in.
dive in. Let's dive in. As you mentioned, Gary, who is played by Glenn. I'm sure Glenn picked that name. Is a professor at a university in New Orleans, and he's contracted out, as you mentioned, Devin, to the police. I say to like do IT hidden camera stuff for hitman cases, but you explained it way better.
Yeah, well, he sets up the audio ahead of like sting operations, specifically for murder for hire situations. I don't think he picked the name Gary, though. I just want to point out, I'm pretty sure the actual guy this is based off was named Gary.
Oh, his name was Gary.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
You're like, I'm sure Glenn picked that name. Like, no. This is a real story, actually.
Oh, well, I just thought Gigi, Oh my God, we should just nickname him Gigi.
Sorry, Gary Johnson?
Yeah.
would be a J.
No.
GJ.
I am well aware of that. I'm saying Glenn is a G.
Yeah.
And his character in this is a G for Gary. GG. No, not following. Okay.
Nope.
So,
well, I'm following. I just don't think it's that good.
moving on. One day, like you mentioned, the detective Jasper who does it, he can't do it anymore. So Gary is asked to pretend to go in to be the hitman in the meeting at this cafe. He meets with this guy. He's quite the natural, like so good that it's scary.
Listen, this whole thing's got to be based on trust.
Yeah, man. No shit. So, how long you been doing this?
That's none of your fucking business.
Shit, look at Gary.
You called me to do a job.
The man is a natural.
Playing some offense here.
You don't know me. I don't know you. And at some point in the future, that's going to be a good thing.
And
this is the thriller aspect of it, how good he is at this.
And I think this is how the film draws you in, because it's Glenn Powell as Gary, and he's kind of he's a little bit of a schmuck. And then
he's a ween.
And then he's forced into this real high pressure situation. Like, you need to convince this guy that you are a hitman. And he just flicks a switch and there's a different character. And you're like, oh my gosh. And Glenn Powell goes through close to a dozen different characters throughout this film.
Tailors them to what the person would be looking for in a hitman based on their Facebook or Instagram or social media.
And he does it so well.
He does it too well.
So immediately, this isn't my best scene, but immediately I'm drawn in. Like, I'm leaning forward in my chair like, wow, like oh my gosh, he's pulling off the hitman thing. Cool.
Oh, yes. Yes, he takes his job very seriously. He ends up replacing Jasper while he's off on leave. We kind of get the perspective that Jasper is a dirty cop. He can't be let go because of other things, and so he's just put on leave. And he tailors the hitman to the client, which makes things better and more efficient in catching them in the net that Gary has placed in the water for them. He's also really good friends with his ex-wife, who comes one day to chat. And this is kind of, I think, where we can understand what will happen psychologically and philosophically throughout the movie. Conveniently is what he teaches at the university.
Yes, he teaches that, and she kind of talks about how, they were married, but she asks all these questions of like, can you change? Can you become a different person? Like, you were always just kind of Gary and you didn't want to be pushed outside of your comfort zone. But now we're seeing in his actual life, or at least in his side job workplace, he is kind of exploring all these different
personas,
versions of Gary. Yeah. And it's at this point in the conversation, he says, no, like a tiger can't change its stripes sort of thing. But what we're going to get to at the end of the story is, yes, you can. And that's kind of the full circle character arc that we're building. And this is the catalyst for us building that.
Yeah. And I think, and Devin, we chatted about this a few nights ago where I said, they didn't necessarily have to bring in an ex-wife who is pregnant, going to have a child with another person. And, they could have done it in a way that he taught that specific piece of information in one of his classes. But I think, as you mentioned, Devin, when we were chatting about it,
absolutely not.
It showed that he did in fact and could in fact care for someone else outside of him other than birds.
It's the classic, how do we explain an older man who's not married,
without
but how do we keep him desirable?
Flags.
We kill the wife. Or in this case...
Although, are the birds the red flags?
Maybe. But in this case, the wife... Okay.
I was waiting for this.
I'm going to come back to that.
Yeah.
In this case, the wife left him and is remarried, but they're still friends. So it's like, hey, like Gary's capable of love. It just didn't work out this time.
Yeah.
Sarah,
and it also shows that I think intellectually on a different level, like I think she is some sort of professor or works in some sort of field that is exploring this additional persona theory in her work.
Sarah.
Yes.
Currently has an app on her phone.
We've talked about this on the pod.
So how dare you call Gary's fascination with birds a red flag?
Because it's to another level. I will sit in my backyard and listen to the birds. For my son, and you, and we'll say, oh, what kind of birds are out here, Wells? And then we'll turn on the Merlin app. And
it's the Merlin app, ladies and gentlemen. You should get on it. Download this episode's brought to you by the Merlin app.
I wish it was. It is not. And it'll tell you based on the tweet or the chirp of said bird. It will tell you what kind of bird it is. But I am not a bird watcher.
Yeah, but do you think if you were single for an extended period of time, like
No.
I could see you going down that rabbit hole, Sarah.
Are you kidding me?
You're a lot closer to Gary than you think. You shouldn't throw stones in a glass house, lady.
You're hilarious. Me and the birds. Although I have to say, when I came home from Arizona and showed you that app, you were obsessed.
Oh yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. It's one of those things that you don't think about until you see a cool bird and you're like, holy shit, get the app up. You know, like it's not like it's not like I'm obsessed with it, but it is nice to have ready.
You used it on a woodpecker last week.
Pileated woodpecker, yeah.
I'm telling you,
dude.
I think you love it more than I do.
Woodpeckers are huge. Nobody talks about how big woodpeckers are.
Huge.
They're like pterodactyl. That thing's gigantic, and it's just it's killing my tree. But
no,
it's huge.
Not. It's eating the bugs out of the tree. Okay, back to Hitman.
And how do they not have like CTE? Like I know it's a big thing in the NFL, but like a woodpecker is just literally smashing its beak against
What's
a thing.
CTE?
It's like concussion symptoms.
Oh.
How does the woodpecker not have concussion symptoms?
Oh, interesting.
From just like hammering its beak.
Were you going to make a pecking noise there? Were you about to make a pecking noise?
Yeah, it turns out. See,
that's pretty good.
No, it's not. And that's why I didn't do it, because I'm like, I don't think any of this is going to sound good.
Should we move on?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
I think we're the red flags today.
Oh, God. We're just Garys. It turns out.
Oh, my God. Okay. I'm like crying. I'm laughing so hard. All right. Shut this down. Gary's next assignment is a woman named Madison. She's looking to hire a hitman for her husband. She's married, seems to have, a life, and then seemingly nothing after she gets married to her husband. This is what Gary's finding out. And comes into the diner. She's really timid, tells Gary, or in this case, the new alias, Ron.
And that's important. So Gary tailors all of his aliases to his client. He went with Ron for this meetup with Madison. And Ron continues on for a little bit. But I think we can see immediately from this meeting with Madison, he's a little disarmed.
He is.
He's a little charmed by Madison.
Yeah, he usually has like kind of like a loose script that he goes by and a way to kind of pull them in, reel them in, and really understand what they're looking for. And
they end up flirting back and forth a little bit. We get a little bit of chemistry here.
About cats and dogs.
Yeah, and she ends up having to leave early, and she tries to hand Ron
the money,
Gary,
which is the final nail in the coffin.
And he puts the money back in her hand, and he says, do yourself a favor and take this money and make a better life for yourself. Kind of letting the fish off the hook here. He had her.
Yeah.
And he did this. And when
he gives his number to her.
Yeah. And when he gets back with his other New Orleans police officers, they're like, what in the world are you doing? We're not in the business of giving people life advice. We're in the business of putting murder for hire suspects in jail, and you just let one walk out of a diner? Like, what are you thinking, kind of thing? And Gary is just like, I don't know, like, I just thought it was the right thing to do, kind of thing. Clearly caught some feelings in that quick little meeting.
Definitely. And I don't think, like, they get off the phone with Gary, his superiors, and I don't think they realize that they're still on the phone with Gary, and they talk about how sweet the character that he's playing now, Ron, is, and how he's so cool, and that she'd rip out her IUD for Ron, which I thought was so funny, and realizes that this is someone who is accepted in basically all aspects of his life where he's not.
Yeah.
And he's a cool persona that maybe he wants to continue having in his life. Gary walks us through what happens after they're arrested. So we kind of get like a sidebar here. They go to court, have their day in court, most often are guilty, but some get off free through the forgiveness of the one who was supposed to be off with the hitman. Like it just kind of goes and it provides you with the full circle of what happens after and Gary's role once they are actually arrested.
What do you think are so now we've met a lot of people who were trying to hire Gary as a hitman. What do you think are the most common professions that would attract someone like that, either a hitman or somebody to hire? So really, I mean, I said hitman or murder for hire. It's serial killers. We're talking about. I found a 2012 tabulation, actually. So some stats regarding what are the most common professions that would attract serial killers based on.
Oh, okay.
So the categories they actually broke it down into categories: skilled occupations, semi-skilled occupations, unskilled occupations, and professional and government occupations.
Oh, okay. I was going to say number one politician.
To be a serial killer?
They're all most are narcissists and sociopaths.
But I think they're too much in the public eye.
Oh, okay.
You know,
the
like
AIDS.
it's too.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm totally kidding.
I mean, like you had a moment where you were in the right area.
Okay, tell me.
All right. Well, skilled occupations.
All right.
Aircraft machinist or assembler.
Oh,
is number one.
Could you do it because like you could like mess with the airplane and then they'd go down?
Or I think there's an element of I don't know.
Okay. There's no explanation for you?
Just a lot of no, not for the specific ones.
Okay.
Shoemaker or repair person and automobile upholsterer were the most common serial killer professions.
Yeah, because you can hide things in upholstery.
The semi-skilled occupations make sense, though.
Okay.
Forestry worker / arborist.
Because you can hide them and bury them.
Maybe. Also, you're working with a lot of like power tools that could just...
zoom.
Yep. Truck driver.
Oh, yeah. Long periods of time, for sure.
You're traveling all over the
scary.
country. Yeah, absolutely.
Not the truck driver. But like, I mean, I'm saying like just the journey.
Yep. Warehouse manager.
Okay.
Yep. Unskilled occupations, they got general labor, like a mover or a landscaper.
Right. Good at be good at burying.
A hotel porter.
Oh, because you could take them and they'd never be seen again.
And you probably know what rooms
for anybody who does any of these occupations.
Ooh, wow.
I'm totally kidding. I'm just playing up.
Gas station attendant was third on the list.
Oh, you could disable the cameras.
Well,
in the middle of nowhere.
I think, I guess. I think there's just an element of being able to see people and them not assuming you of anything.
Right.
You know, a hotel porter is going to see a lot of people moving around. Same with a gas station attendant, right? Like you're seeing so many people come through.
That's terrifying.
And professional and government occupations, police or security official, military personnel, religious official, number 3.
Wow. Interesting. Did you know that there's a list of the horoscope that coincides with the serial killers?
You're really bringing this back to astrology. What's the list?
I don't know. There's I can say I don't believe there's any Scorpios on there. And I don't actually know if there's any Leos on there either. But there is a list. I have seen it.
Astrology serial killer list. I've Googled it. Oh, it's Zodiac killers. What signs were serial killers born under?
Legitimately, like there is a thing.
Interesting.
Yes, Aries.
Oh, Aries, Donald
Taurus.
Harvey, the Casanova killer, Taurus. So here's the thing. I know so little about serial killers.
Me too.
These names are ridiculous. Martha, the Lonely Hearts Killer.
Well, they all had to have a name, no?
Albert, the Moon Maniac. What?
That I don't know anything
Maybe
about them
only
either.
killed on a full moon.
I'm not into true crime. Okay, that's a long list though, whatever that was. Gemini?
Yeah, lots of Geminis. David, son of Sam Berkowitz. The Hillside Stranglers in here. Oh, the Dracula Killer. The Milwaukee Cannibal. What?
Oh, goodness.
Oh, that's Jeffrey Dahmer. I should have known that.
God.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Should have known it. Well, that's a fun little deep dive if you really want to creep yourself out one night.
Yeah, totally.
Lots of people really enjoy it, though. So, hey, you never know.
Lots of people love true crime. We've had actually a few people message us and say like they love true crime podcasts and then ours, which I mean, I think is great.
Nice little crossover with us in true crime. We should do some. I don't think there are many crime rom-coms. Yeah,
we let them know.
Let's continue.
Okay, yeah. Gary gets a call from Madison.
Dun dun dun.
And she has invited him to, or I guess a text message, not a call, to a charity event for animals, mostly dogs. And he's very surprised by this. He goes, though, and finds out that she's left. Her husband is getting a divorce. But there's like, for me anyway, at this point, I'm like, there's something more to her. Like, what is she up to? Do I believe her? I don't know. She
seems a little too good to be true.
She does. She does. Like, you know, you were so scared. You wanted to literally hire a hitman for your husband, but then you just like got up and left and divorced him. Like, shouldn't you have done that in the first place? At least, you know?
Yeah, very likely. Yeah.
So they go for drinks after, and she's pressing him with questions about how many people he's hit being a hitman, says that there's no way that he, you know, oh, you couldn't be a hitman. They end up hooking up in her apartment, and he loves being Ron. So carefree, so, you know, nonchalant, doesn't have any worries in the world. Next morning, they talk, and Madison asks if he wants to see her again. He says yes, of course. He lays some ground rules saying, like, they can't go ever to his house. She'll never know his whereabouts. Now, we have his aliases. His creepiest alias is the redhead with glasses. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had to look away. I couldn't. This is where the other part of the thriller aspect to the rom-com comes in. This was based, it's in my quick facts, but it's based, I believe, on a real hitman sociopath or psychopath, I think.
What was your favorite
Not this one.
Gary, the hitman alias. I liked the Russian one. He was kind of funny. There was like an all-American one who was good too.
Yeah. I actually think I like Ron best.
Oh, Ron is definitely the best. Yeah, I think Ron is the closest to actual Glenn Powell.
I was just about to say that. That was almost going to come out of my mouth verbatim. Yes, I think that's totally true, and that could be why I like him. So one night, Gary goes over, and Madison's like, oh, I have something we can play with. And she pulls out a gun in a very creepy way, asking him to teach her to use it. Like I said, for me, at this point, again, there's just something about her that I can't pinpoint. They go to the shooting range, and then they go to a club. And while they're walking out, a guy named Ray comes up to them, and it turns out that this is Madison's husband or ex-husband, Ray. Ron, or Gary, tells him that he's Madison's boyfriend, but honestly, I think Madison knew Ray would be at this bar and that they'd run into him, and that's why she did it. Like, she did it on purpose. Ray is about to grab Ron, or Gary, and he pulls a gun out on Ray instead. Madison tries to push Gary to shoot Ray, but Ray ends up backing off and leaving. After Gary, Ron, and Madison go for ice cream, and he starts asking questions like, you guys have a different definition of divorce. Like, are you guys actually divorced? And she kind of plays it off like, do I have a ring on my finger? Okay, girl, that means nothing.
That absolutely means nothing.
Like,
I agree. I thought that part was sketchy on Madison's part, for sure.
Like, he's like, are you actually divorced? It's the same club. It's the same club that we go to where we would see him. Like, he knows something's fishy, but he likes her so much he's clouded and blinded. Then, while at this diner, they see Jasper of all people. And he comes up to Gary Ron, but never says his proper name as Gary, lets him play on the persona in front of Madison as Ron.
So, Sarah, can you share with us all the theories that were in your brain about this movie? Sarah thought that Jasper and Madison were in cahoots, that they were trying to get Gary fired.
Yeah, or not fired, but like put in a situation where he would compromise, like whether it was the police department, whether it was him himself, whether it was to prove that he was actually a hitman when he wasn't, or like sink him and like set him up for a murder for hire and have Gary take the fall. Like, or was she CIA and they were trying to infiltrate, or FBI and infiltrate like what this hitman organization in the NOPD was. Like, I didn't know what it was, but it was something, there was just something too fishy about her. And I also knew, like, Jasper being in the front half of the movie, like being shown as like a dirty cop and like being put on leave but then brought back and still on the same squad. Like, as the police chief, I'd say you're no longer in this role and you're now on a different department. Like, don't keep him in the department you now kicked him out of. He's just disgruntled and pissed off.
Oh, HR Sarah's here to
But seriously, it's common sense.
I will say one thing that I loved about this movie as we get through kind of the beginning and middle phases of the film. It always stayed so grounded. So the fun fact,
yes, it did.
None of what Sarah has brought up happened. It ended up being like it did get a little bit wild at the end, but it was always still grounded in like, oh, this is totally possible. I could see this happening, as opposed to I think about like a Mr. and Miss Smith.
Yeah.
The Killers with Ashton Kutcher. I think about Night and Day with Tom Cruise, how it's fantastical and it's, oh my God, and he's a superhero. And it's like, no, Gary's just a dude who pretends to be a hitman. Hitmen aren't real. And he just puts stupid people away. And it's a very grounded film. And I love that about this film.
And when we were chatting earlier this week, you did mention that. And I think that pulled me back from this, like, this Hollywood thing that they always do where they push the boundaries to make it, in the end, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, and it makes your mind think like, oh, like I could write this script. This is what's going to happen because this is blah, 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 blah.
She's in the CIA. Like, no, she's just a little crazy.
Yeah. And I think it grounded me in the sense that, yes, this movie is just a really great movie without it having to be pushed over the edge of being ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. The ridiculousness is him dressing up like all these different hitmen.
It was like the perfect
But it was a true story.
Yeah.
Like this guy actually was pretending to be a hitman in Texas is the real story. So it's like it's still based in real truth. It's a real story that happened.
Yeah, which I think was so cool.
Yeah.
So the next work sting, the guy's name, Gary comes in and he's like, I know nothing about this guy. I wasn't able to do any research. This is like a last minute thing. What is it? They're like, his superiors and his like crew were like, okay, his name's Mike. That's all we got. Nothing to go on. It's totally fine. I did get this guess correct. I was like, this is Ray.
It's the ex-husband's, yeah.
The ex-husband, Madison's ex, Ray. Of course it is. I knew it. He wants to put a hit out on his wife and the new boyfriend, which of course is Gary Ron. It's a twofer, as he says, which I laughed at. He wants both of them hit, and he even brought extra money. Then as a special request, he asks that when things are about to happen, say this is from your husband. And then in that moment, so again, because they didn't have time to prep, it's only audio. So there's no visual on this. They didn't have time to put videos in. So Gary Ron is able to turn around and actually show Ray his face to say like, dude, you literally hired the wrong hitman. Like, you are totally effing yourself here. And
because Ray has met Gary Ron. So he's like, oh my God, you're the guy kind of thing.
Yeah. So he kills the sting, shows his face, and Ray runs out. Later on, the next day, guess who is found dead?
Ray
with as they say, a single shot to the aorta as the cause of death. They position it as a drug deal gone bad, but they're now on the hunt for the guy that Madison was with that night outside the nightclub, which of course was Gary Ron.
Yeah, they're looking for Madison. They're looking for that random guy. It's looking a little deep for Gary.
It is, but he keeps just lying and digging himself a hole. Gary gets to Madison's house and she already knows that Ray is dead and seems completely fine with it. Then she asks, like, you know, Gary asks Madison, did you have anything to do with it?
You don't have to be scared. Why would you be scared?
Because I killed him.
You killed him?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
You told me yourself he was gonna come and kill me.
So he was attacking you as like self-defense.
Technically.
Technically what? What was he doing?
He was either passed out or asleep.
And you killed him?
This was almost my best scene. Because then we get Gary, who's like, "You did what?" And she's.
This is my best scene.
Go ahead.
No. Just because, like, first off, you walk into the situation. She already knows. Like, you're like, okay, the guilt is on her face, Gary. Like, come on. And the way she just like allows herself to explain, like, I did it. And the way he's so okay with it, I'm like, okay.
You thought he was okay with it?
Well, he's like, hey, wait, what? And then, like, but he still lied for her. Like, he still continued to lie for her. At that point, I'd be like calling the police and be like, I found her. I found the killer.
The funniest part of this scene, though, was that he switches from Ron to Gary. She's like, I killed him. And he's like, you did what? And she's like, what do you mean? She thinks he's a hitman. And he's like,
why are you getting so worked up about this? You do this shit all the time.
I don't do this all the time. I've never done this. I've never killed anyone.
What are you talking about?
I'm a fake hitman. That's why I didn't put you away. I didn't have you arrested because I was working undercover.
You're a cop?
No, I teach at a college. This hitman thing's just like a part-time gig. Just gotten out of hand.
You do this all the time.
I don't kill people. What are you talking about? And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm hired by the police to pretend to be a hitman for people. Like, he reveals it to her. Yeah.
He reveals everything. Just lays it all out on the line. Just says like
Gary comes flying out.
Oh, yeah. If there was ever a master plan to save himself, he just shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He even gives her his real name, which is hilarious. And she's just like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Get out of my house, which is funny because I'm like, you're the one who just like, you need to make sure that he doesn't tell anybody about this. So, right?
Hold on. If you were her, would you kill Gary now?
No, but I did think that she was going to try.
Sarah.
What?
Would you kill Gary?
No.
You just said.
No, but I did think that was the way the movie was going to go. So,
suspicious, ladies and gentlemen. I think she would have killed Gary there.
So Gary goes back to the police station, finds out that 6 months ago, Ray upped his life insurance policy to $1 million, and that could have been why she wanted to kill him in the first place. Madison is now suspect number 1 in the case. Gary tells the group that he'd be surprised if she killed Ray. And again, like, why are you sticking up for her? You could literally just come clean, lick your Gary wounds and continue on your merry way. But I wonder if the ties to having feelings for her, but also ties to loving this new Ron.
Yes.
Part of him were a reason why he stayed in this, this world.
I think you're right. And at this point, Jasper, who's still on the team, hold up. Jasper's got an idea. She thinks that Gary is still Ron, right? Because they reveal, he's like, didn't I see you out with her? And Gary's like, yeah, I just saw her briefly,
I ran into
whatever.
her as Ron.
So Jasper comes up with an idea. Hey, why don't you walk back into her house? We'll mic you up and you get her to admit to the thing. Be like, hey, like, Ray died. People think it's me. Did you do it? And question her and get her to admit it.
Yeah.
So now Ron, Gary Ron.
Yeah, Gary Ron.
Heading back to Madison's house, all mic'd up. He doesn't even, Jasper drives with him, so he doesn't have time to call her or anything like that. This is my best scene.
Okay. It is a really good scene.
Because you actually see while he's walking up to her door, he's writing something on his phone, like just typing away. He busts into the house. Madison's surprised, and he just literally launches his phone into her face, says, police are listening. I'm Ron, not Gary, and he starts questioning her, but he's giving her on his phone all of the answers, kind of like they know about the insurance policy.
This is bullshit, and you out of all people should know that I was incapable of this.
Okay, then who did? What the hell happened?
I just know what they've told me.
Which is what?
He got shot buying drugs. Guy was an addict.
Okay, so you say you didn't kill him. When was the last time you saw him?
Not that long ago at Virgo's.
The club?
Yes, the club. I was walking on a Virgo's with this guy that I met on the dance floor, and...
Deny. He keeps on swapping to, like, notes on his phone. I thought it was... Because really, they were hemmed into a corner.
Yes.
He's got to walk in here mic'd up. They can hear all of the conversation. So he needs to tell her what's happening without physically telling her what's happening. And it was such a clever way to do it. I thought this scene was just comprised so well. I thought the acting, playing off each other.
Oh, God, yeah.
Pretending to like learning how the conversation's going while it's happening. Yeah, the writing was impeccable in this movie, and in this scene it really shined through. My best scene. It was so clever and so well executed. I really, really liked it.
Yeah, and so at the end, Gary Ron leaves and goes back to the police undercover car.
Based on the audio, it seems like Madison didn't do it, right?
Case closed.
Yeah, case closed. It's not her.
Now, Jasper knows differently. So when Ron, because he's still playing Ron, or I guess he's not playing Ron at this point
He's
anymore.
Gary Ron still, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes back to Madison's house.
Yes.
Jasper's already there.
Oh, yes. Knowing that Gary Ron would have shown up.
And I found this really interesting because I noticed it right away that Jasper is like, you know what, let's grab some beers. And Madison's like, I'll get them, don't worry.
Yep. So she gets them beers.
And then Jasper lays out his big master plan. He's like, listen, I don't want to get you guys in trouble. I just want what's mine. And that's, there's a $1 million insurance policy out for Ray. So where's that money going? Some of it's going to Jasper's pocket.
I think he wanted all of it.
Yeah. And at a certain point during the conversation, he starts to get hot. He takes off his coat and then he starts to like lean on the table and then he falls over. And I love this because they both kind of stand there looking at him. And Madison's like, I killed him. And Gary doesn't really know what she's talking about. And then she reveals, when she went to go get the drinks, she poisoned Jasper.
Which, like, with drugs, where did she get them? That's the one thing that I have a question about.
Great question.
Because, like, I would say, like, oh, like, rat poison, for sure. Like, that's, I mean, I don't have that in my house, but, like, it would be an easier sell than where did you get those drugs? Or maybe that's what happened. She had them from when she had hitmaned herself to Ray. Who knows? Perhaps,
but, I mean, Gary Ron doesn't miss a beat. He grabs a bag and puts it over Jasper's head and is kind of like, this is what we're in it now kind of thing.
Oh,
and it's like, it is a little bit of a dark comedy at the end here where like Gary and Madison end up like making love while Gary is dying in the living room. It's very, it's just kind of dark comedy. And then
goes that dark way.
And the idea was like, now they're in it. They're still together. They're still dating. They're loving each other till death do us part kind of thing.
They seal it with a kiss.
And then we get a fast forward, 6 years later?
Probably a few years for sure.
They've got 2 kids. And we do get that kind of wrapping the character arc of Gary up in a nice little bow where he talks about how, he's like, I went full Ron and no Gary. And now I'm kind of, I've found the nice little meeting point of Gary and Ron. He's clearly a lot more Ron than he was before, but he's still himself in there. And they've got 2 kids.
Yeah, they have a whole life together.
They've got a whole life together. Madison still has moments where it seems like she's a little, she's got some dark edges around her.
Yeah.
Which I think is just so, like, it's not a typical rom-com. It's not sunshine and daisies and rainbows. He married somebody who murdered her husband.
Yeah.
And he pretended to be a hitman for
a while. Definitely.
And it's kind of like this quirky, weird way to end a rom-com that I was actually really satisfied. I'm like, I'm not crying. I had no weep warnings in this movie, but I'm very pleased with how this started. The middle point was still exciting, and it ended in a really, not a beautiful way, but like a really funny, quirky, like, it's a nice end to a movie way.
That was a good movie.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Quick facts.
This movie was inspired by a true story and was shot over a period of a month. The real-life Gary Johnson passed away early on in production and never got to see the film. Richard Linklater only talked to him on the phone and never got to meet him in person. The script originally had the story taking place in Houston, since the real-life Gary was based in Houston. However, due to Texas tax credits and other financial elements, they weren't able to shoot the film in Texas. They instead chose New Orleans. This movie is based on a long-form narrative nonfiction article by Skip Hollinsworth, published in Texas Monthly in October 2001. This marks the second time that Linklater has made a movie based on a Texas Monthly article by Hollinsworth, the first being Bernie in 2011. The part of Jasper was written with Austin Emilio specifically in mind. Austin Emilio had already picked out his wardrobe for the character Jasper. He decided to research the part a bit further and went out in New Orleans, Bourbon Street, to find the sketchiest person he could find, who just happened to be wearing almost the exact same wardrobe he had chosen.
That's interesting. Deep dive on your own character, like...
The sketchier, the better.
I'm gonna find the sketchiest human I can find in this city.
As with most of his films, Glenn Powell's parents like to visit their son on set and usually end up doing cameos in the film. They can be glimpsed as background artists in this movie. The chemistry between Glenn and Adria was evident from the get-go. Their initial meeting was supposed to last 1 hour. It lasted for 5 instead.
Wow.
As Gary is driving at the start of the movie, you can see a street called Allen Toussaint Boulevard. The instrumental at the end of the movie is called Cast Your Fate to the Wind by Allen Toussaint.
I was going to say it's probably Toussaint.
Yes. The second time I got it right.
Wow. Who speaks French and who doesn't?
I know. Adria was thrilled to work with Richard Linklater, as School of Rock in 2003 is one of her all-time favorite movies. This is Glenn Powell's 4th collaboration with Richard Linklater. After Fast Food Nation in 2006, Everybody Wants Some in 2016, and Apollo 10.5, A Space-Age Childhood in 2022. With the changed landscape these days regarding sex scenes, both Glenn and Adria had input in the writing of their romantic scenes and in conversations with the film's intimacy coordinator on how these scenes should be filmed. Good for them. At one point, Brad Pitt was interested in playing Gary Johnson.
I'm glad it was Glenn Powell.
Me too. I think Glenn was perfect for this role. The film was in rehearsal for 2 weeks before shooting actually began. Austin Emilio shares several scenes with Adria, playing a character called Madison, of course. In the final season of Fear of the Walking Dead in 2015, Emilio also shared screen time with a character called Madison, this time played by Kim Dickens. The teenager giving Johnson video games to kill his mom is based on the actual client meeting the real-life Gary Johnson had. A Houston teenager named Sean Quinn, a brilliant kid with an IQ of 131, gave Johnson 7 Atari computer games, $3 bills and $2.30 in nickels and dimes to kill a male classmate he thought was trying to win the affection of a girl he liked. That's terrifying. One of Gary Johnson's outfits is based on Anton Chigurh, Chigurh, a psychopathic hitman from No Country for Old Men.
Oh, is that who they were based off?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorites.
That was the redhead one.
One of my, interesting. One of my favorite movie scenes. There's a scene with that character and a gas station attendant.
Oh, okay.
And there's a coin, like a flip of the coin scene. It's
terrifying.
It's just really tense. It's probably one of the most tense scenes. Like, it's a top 10 most tense scene in movie history, I'm going to say.
Okay.
If you know the movie, you know the scene, it's prickles your hair on the back of your head.
So in this movie, Madison's character's birthday is the same as the actual actress, Adria, playing her character. It is 4/25/1992. It is shown when Gary is reviewing her file in his computer to decide on how to approach this hitman character. One of the personas Gary Johnson, Glenn Powell, plays when meeting a client is based on Patrick Bateman character as played by Christian Bale in American Psycho in 2000. Powell had a brief role as Trader Number 1, the stockbroker hit by Bane, in The Dark Knight Rises in 2012, where Bale played Batman.
Another fantastic little Glenn Powell. It's not a cameo because he was it, but now in retrospect, it's almost like a Glenn Powell cameo. Mm-hmm. There's actually a classic line in that scene because it's come up now. I
can't believe you remember that.
It's come up now that Glenn Powell has become so popular.
Fair.
He's the stockbroker and he tells Bane, he's like, "There's no money here to steal," and then Bane says, "Well, then why are you here?" kind of thing. And punches him. It's sick. Honorable mentions. I want to play a game for our honorable mentions because
Well, then can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
My honorable mention is Glenn Powell because I just think he's on the up and up and I'm really, really enjoying his movies. I'm going to say this really quick because I'm thoroughly enjoying and I want him to be around for long. I don't want him to go away. I want him to stay.
So my game, because I hate picking the main actor as my honorable mention.
Yes.
But I have, so I wanted to play a game for you.
Ooh, okay.
It's called Rising or Peaked.
Oh.
Because this film, in my opinion, like we talked about, is one of the, like Glenn Powell in the last let's say 18 months since Top Gun Maverick, let's say.
Oh God, yes, he was glorious in that too.
He has just been climbing a mountain in terms of his own popularity. He's been just blowing everything out of the water. Twisters, Anyone But You, this movie Hitman, so many others. So I have for you a number of other, in my opinion, rising stars in acting. Okay. But I think we can decide, is this actor still on the rise or have they hit their peak? Okay, which the peak is still impressive. If you're hitting your peak at some of these actors' peaks, it's like, wow, you did a great job. But
right.
like, is Glenn Powell, I mean, my first one is Glenn Powell. My question to you, Sarah, is his star still rising?
I think his star is still rising.
I think it is too.
Because I think he's just been able to get into the lead roles. And I think he's fought for a long time to get into those lead roles.
Yep.
And that just shows like he's willing to stick it out for as long as he can to get them. 2 out of the 3 movies off the top of my head right now are rom-coms, Anyone But You, and this one is considered that.
Yep.
But we have Twisters, which I mean, they don't even kiss in that movie.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like so we have a little bit of a different dynamic, but I think all of the movies that he's done as of late shows the depth to his ability to do different types of movies. And that's where, you know, Top Gun Maverick comes into play. He wasn't the lead for that. He could have been. Yeah. But it goes to show like he can do action movies. He can do rom-coms, sure. It kind of reminds me, and like you mentioned earlier at the very beginning of the movie, early Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, okay, a Matthew McConaughey.
Early.
I totally agree with everything you've said because I think Glenn Powell has now reached the point of like a Chris Evans or like a Ryan Reynolds or a Ryan Gosling, but he hasn't had like where is his Barbie? Because Glenn Powell deserves that role, you know, that big, huge, the Christopher Nolan, whatever it might be.
Say, where's that award?
Exactly.
Where's that award? You know?
I think that's what's coming next for him. The like big, huge blockbuster. And Twisters was kind of that. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to see more of that. So, okay, Glenn Powell, star still rising. Similar to Glenn Powell, Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, star still rising for sure.
Dune Part 2 just came out.
A poop ton of depth.
He was a Willy Wonka prequel last year.
Which was I haven't seen the movie yet, but again, was very well praised for his performance specifically.
Yeah. Jenna Ortega. This one's tough. Wednesday has been big.
Yep.
But I don't know how much success she's had outside of that realm, if that makes sense. She gets a lot of darker roles.
She is a very dark role person, and I don't know if she's pigeonholing herself.
She reminds me of Aubrey Plaza a lot, where it's just like she's kind of like brooding, Plaza, yes. You know?
Yeah, I think if she can break out of the dark-ish roles, and I think it'll be hard for her. I think it'll have to be a transition, but I think she can do it. But I like her.
So star still rising.
I think so. If she can break out of, like, I don't want to see her in a crappy horror movie.
Yeah,
because
right,
I think that will be a demise.
I think she was in a.
She was, yes, she was.
Or maybe like a good horror movie, but
I don't know
still,
she's good. Yeah. I don't watch horror, but I kind of heard she was in a horror movie. I don't know how well it did.
I think she was in the new Scream movie. Honestly,
I think
Anya Taylor-Joy was just in. I mean, The Menu was earlier. She was in the Mad Max prequel.
She was. I haven't seen that one.
Furiosa.
I heard it was really good.
Great reviews for her on that.
She was in. Oh my God, what's the chess one?
Yeah, she was in the chess one, which was very well performed.
Season 2, I believe, is coming out soon, or whatever season.
Queen's Gambit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she has a lot of range that potentially hasn't been discovered yet. Good choices for this discussion.
I know. A lot of people. I feel like there are a lot of actors kind of percolating a little.
But we need them.
We do.
You have a missing. Like there's a hole. I totally agree. I'm finding there's a hole.
I love Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Matt Damon, but the amount of times I'm looking at an awards show and it's like, oh, and here's George Clooney. Oh, and here's Matt Damon, and it's like, Jesus, these guys again.
Matt Damon.
I love these guys, but like you're right. There's got to be a new group coming in, kind of taking over. Austin Butler, is he in that group?
Oh God, if I have to hear him do an Elvis. I think he is arriving. I think he is a rising star.
He's moved on.
But good God, guy, like let it go. I think there were some like I don't know, Heath Ledger kind of things going on there with like method acting that he needed to break out. And I'm very happy he did.
He did.
It was a little bit concerning at times.
Had a big role in a new Bikers movie. He
did.
Was just obviously Elvis. He was in the Dune. He was in Dune Part 2.
I think he's broken away, and thank God, from the little kid movies he did when we were younger as well, right? Like,
I totally don't even know what you're talking about.
oh my God. Okay, hold on.
Is he in little kid movies? What do you mean?
Not little kid movies.
What is little kid movies?
Hold on.
The Bike Riders, by the way, was
yes. He was in a TV show called on the CW from 2013 to 2014, and only had one season, called The Carrie Diaries. It was like, I believe he played Sebastian Kidd. It was like spun off of like Carrie Bradshaw, but as like a little kid.
Right.
And then, he had other in the realm of like Disney, like he was in Switched at Birth. He was in, Life Unexpected, the TV show for 10 episodes. He was in some stuff like Wizard of Waverly Place, Zeke and Luther, and I'm looking at his IMDb. That's the only
Aliens
reason why.
in the Attic. Yeah, interesting.
iCarly, Ned's Declassified School Survival, Hannah Montana. Like, he played like these smaller roles in all of these Disney type TV shows.
Yeah, Drake and Josh, Hannah Montana, iCarly, Zoe 101, Jesus.
So like I think it took him a long time to break out of that role into more serious roles. So I say just, try not for super method acting, and I think he is great. I've heard he was phenomenal in Dune Part 2.
Yes, and he really he played off the other actor who was already in that role in terms of getting his voice pattern down. Is very fascinating, actually. Next one, Nicholas Galitzine. We saw him in the movie opposite Anne Hathaway.
Oh, God, yeah. No, I don't know. I think he might be peaking.
I kind of agree. Like, I've seen him in a few things. He reminds me of Noah Centineo, where it's like, is he, like... He's got to get something that's not on a streaming service, really, is kind of how I feel, Yeah,
that's not, based on a YA. And to say, like, I mean, obviously the movie that he was in with opposite Anne Hathaway was not. But, like, I just saw a third trailer for a video where a younger guy is going for an older woman, which is, again, totally fine. It's great. Awesome. But that's 3 in 2024.
Yeah, The Idea of You was his movie with Anne
which
Hathaway.
I loved. I thought it was really good. I mean, we praised it. It was great. But now I'm seeing like 3, as they call them, the cougar movies. Like, come on, guys. Like, does everyone... One was with Nicole Kidman and, oh my God, what's his name? Zac Efron.
Oh, yeah,
oh my
totally.
God, I have not watched it. I don't know. And then Laura Dern and, oh my God, it's the most recent one. But like, do you have no other scripts?
Got a lot of,
I will write you a script.
Got a lot of MILF movies coming out, apparently.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. These ones might be a little bit more tough to identify. I've got Pedro Pascal. Is his star rising or has he peaked? He was in Game of Thrones, in The Last of Us. He had that really funny one with Nicolas Cage, the overwhelming weight of popularity.
Yeah. I think we have to wait and see
The
Last of Us, what happens after.
Well,
for me.
Do you want a spoiler?
Oh, does he die in it?
Does anybody want a spoiler? Put on your earmuffs. Put on your earmuffs if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't watched it and I'm not going to.
Depending on how they play this out, he probably doesn't make it to the end of season 2.
Oh.
Potentially.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that.
Yes.
When you were playing the game, right?
So, right. I mean, but that's the thing. In Game of Thrones, his death was so abrupt, and you were like, oh, what? He's gone?
Yeah.
So that could still help his star rise. But I feel like he might have actually hit his... Pedro Pascal is so beloved. He was on Saturday Night Live last year. Is this where he's going to sit in terms of like, can he ride out the rest of his career just as like an A? He's an A-lister, right?
I think he's between the rising stars, as we say now, the younger group. He is the middle where that hole is for me in terms of age, I believe.
Right.
You have the Brad Pitts, the Matt Damons, the George Clooney's, as you say, and then you have the, Timothys, and you have the Austin Butlers, and you have like all of that. But like I said, there's that middle group that's missing for me a little bit.
I agree, because he's 49.
Yeah, he's in that, the Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, and he broke in Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
and he was already like probably early 40s when that happened, late 30s.
Late 30s.
And you're like, wow, that's... How do we miss this guy for so many years?
Oh, for sure.
He's going to be in the Gladiator movie coming up, by the way.
I'm so excited for
That'll
that.
be big. Oh, and he was just cast in the Fantastic Four.
That's right.
So his stock probably is still rising a little bit. Florence Pugh, this one I think is tough.
Oh, I don't know.
Has she hit her? She was just in the Christopher Nolan movie Oppenheimer, right?
Yes. And again, I didn't see Oppenheimer.
She's in the Marvel MCU, right?
What is she in the Marvel?
Oh, she was in the Black Widow prequel. She's like the opposite of Black Widow.
That's
yeah.
right. She's the sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about her. I think she's better than Sydney Sweeney.
Wow. I think Sydney Sweeney's stock is rising like a mile a minute right now, almost as fast as Glenn Powell.
They're hard for me. But I think it's because, like I said a few pods ago, I have not seen Sydney Sweeney in anything. So these ones are hard for me because I also haven't seen anything that Florence has been in. So I can't talk about them.
Okay. Well, there we have it. Our rising or peaked suggestions. Now we've got what should have beens.
I mean, I'm glad you talked me off the ledge of she should have been a CIA agent, or she should have been in cahoots with Jasper, or she should have been, I'm glad that has veered a different way. And I like the groundedness that Hollywood did with this one. I am sad that it didn't come out. What should have been, it should have come on our streaming service here in Canada when it went everywhere else. So if you guys listening don't know, when you all got it, those of us streaming in Canada did not receive it. It only came out in theaters here for the first little while, and then it took a few more months to come out on Netflix for us. So this is why we're kind of late to the game on this one. But yeah, that would be my what should have been. I don't know what Netflix did for why they did that for us.
Well, that is my what should have been actually.
No way.
Not that exactly.
Oh, okay.
My what should have been is just an overall discussion of how streaming services are changing how we consume content like this. Because this movie, fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, it was supposed to hit theaters. It was supposed to hit theaters hard, and then after its Toronto International Film Festival release, or its preview, Netflix scooped up the distribution rights. They're like, hey, we like this movie. We're going to pay somebody $20 million for the movie. It's going to have a limited box office release. So this movie made $4 million at the box office.
What?
Netflix paid $20 million for it. Its budget was $8.8 million.
Wow.
So Netflix looks at that and they're like, hey, like everybody's happy, right? We're giving you a nice little check for $20 million and we're going to do whatever we want with the movie.
Right.
So yeah, it came out on streaming for Netflix worldwide, except for Canada, June 7th. But it is kind of this weird thing of like, if there's like a movie that is going to cost a lot of money to promote and be a box office hit, some of these distributors are like, you know what? Can a streaming service just take this off our hands for a nice little check? $20 million, and this movie is now
making money.
It's owned by Netflix, yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I think overall, I'm worried about it. But
yeah,
I just wanted to share the backstory for how that came to be. It was literally on its way to do whatever it was going to do, and then the TIFF release came out, and people were like, hey, this doesn't suck. And Netflix is like, yeah, all mine. Gobble it up. That's it.
Right. And I think and Netflix has recently changed the way they're releasing even their TV series, which is irking me to honestly, to no end. Because, for example, the most recent Bridgerton or even Emily in Paris, they're doing them in parts. So they'll, let's say, release 5 episodes in September 12th, and they'll release the next 5 episodes in October 12th, and or whatever the Friday is. And it's frustrating as a viewer because, in my opinion, either release it or release it weekly. Like, release it all or release it weekly. Because I binged, or I had friends who binged the first 4 episodes, I believe, of Bridgerton, and then had to wait a whole month. But it ended on such an annoying cliffhanger that everybody was furious about it.
Right, yeah.
And some of those people didn't end up going back to finish watching the other half because they had to wait a month and they had moved on to something else.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know what the future looks like for streaming and the distribution of content, but I do think that something has to, I guess, pick up the slack that people are no longer going to theaters in droves.
Totally. And that's it. It's kind of like, overall, it might not be necessarily the best thing, but you can see why distributors are turning to it because the dollars and cents make sense.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's probably just something we're going to need to contend with and keep an eye on, I think. Overall rewatchability. Right off the top, I've got 2 5 out of 5s coming right out of the gate. Chemistry, 5 out of 5. Immediately from their first meeting and all throughout their journey of Gary and Madison, the chemistry was palpable. You could feel it. You're like, wow, yes, I get it. I get the chemistry in this movie. Imagination, I also got 5 out of 5 for that. Totally. I mean, even though they took content matter that already existed, let's call a spade a spade. It was an interesting article about a guy's job and they made that into a movie. I still give that full marks for imagination because they executed it so well. Thirst factor, 4.85 out of 5. Absolutely. Adria, Glenn Powell, they're both gorgeous human beings. Storyline, 4.73. I was never bored. I was never like, how much longer is this? It is a little bit on the longer end. It's almost 2 hours long. It's 5 minutes shy of 2 hours long. But I never felt like it was too long.
I was going to say, I never felt once that I was dragging this through. Which
I think is really important. Soundtrack is the only thing I'm not going to give it strong marks on. 3.95 for the soundtrack. But then Cheese, a 4.75 for the Cheese. Fantastic movie. There wasn't a whole ton of stuff that I'm like, ooh, that fell flat, or like, ooh, that was kind of cheesy. That's an overall score of 4.71 for Devin, which, if you know how I score, that's into the great category. It's not an all-time great, but this is a really great movie. Not only that, this is a great movie that you can watch with maybe a significant other who doesn't love rom-coms. Don't tell them it's a rom-com. Tell them it's a Glenn Powell suspense thriller, and they won't be upset about it. They won't be upset. They'll still be entertained, okay?
My rewatchability is chemistry, 5. Storyline, 4.5. Thirst factor, 5. Imagination, 5, even though it was based on soundtrack, 4. Cheese, 5, for an overall score of 4.75.
This has been your Rom-Com Rewind of Hitman. Wherever you're listening, throw us a follow, and if you want to talk more about this pod, this movie, anything, at Rom-Com Rewind on Instagram.
Thanks for listening.